scholar at the American Enterprise Institute, who has previously held a variety of positions with the FDIC, other public sector, and private sector institutions. Without objection, each of your written statements will be made a part of the record after your oral remarks. For those who have not testified there, and I'm somewhat uncertain whether Chairman Frank has ever testified from the table, but I know he knows the system, the green, yellow, red lighting system. Green means go, yellow means wrap it up, red means stop. We have not improved the audio system since Chairman Frank's day, so you will need to take the microphone and bring it very, very close to your mouth so that all can hear you. Mr. Wilson, you are now recognized for a summary of your testimony.
Thank you, Chairman Hensling. Ranking Member Waters.
Regrettably, that is not close enough. Pull it a little closer, please.
My name is Dale Wilson. I'm the CEO of First State Bank of San Diego, a rural community bank serving a small South Texas town. I appreciate the opportunity to be here to present the views of the Texas Bankers Association on the impact of Dodd-Frank Act. Let me start by thanking my own Congressman, Ruben Hinojosa, who serves on this committee. We had a pleasure of hosting Congressman Hinojosa at my bank in South Texas, and we appreciate his service to our community. During the last decade, the regulatory burden for community banks has multiplied tenfold. Dodd-Frank alone has already added nearly 14,000 pages of proposed and final regulations. Managing this tsunami of regulation is a significant challenge for a bank of any size, but for a small bank with only 17 employees, it's overwhelming. Today, it is not unusual to hear from bankers ready to sell to larger banks because of the regulatory burden has become too much to manage. Since the passage of Dodd-Frank, there are 80 fewer Texas banks. These banks did not fail. Texas has one of the healthiest economies in the country. We call it the Texas Miracle. These were community bankers, and I've talked to some of them personally, that could not maintain profitability with regulatory cost increasing between 50 and 200%. These are good banks that for decades have been contributing to the economic growth and vitality of their towns, but whose ability to serve their communities is being undermined by excessive regulation and government micromanagement. The real costs of the increased regulatory burden are being felt by small-town borrowers and businesses that no longer have access to credit. When a small town loses its only bank, it loses its lifeblood. It's more difficult to improve schools, health care facilities, and other infrastructure projects. I know it was not the intent of Congress when it passed Dodd-Frank to harm community banks, but that is the awful reality. One issue in particular that has hindered the ability of community banks to serve their communities are the new qualified mortgage rules. As a result of the qualified mortgage rules, our bank no longer makes mortgage loans, as the costs and the risks are just too high. Make no mistake, the true cost is felt by my community. I used to make mortgage loans that averaged $50,000, and I made them to borrowers who would not otherwise qualify for secondary market loans. I'm not the only bank in South Texas to exit the mortgage business. Other banks in my county have stopped, as well as community banks in adjacent counties. This is occurring in Texas and across the country. The real victims here are the working class and middle class prospective homeowners. Banks want to make safe, profitable mortgage loans. Denying mortgage loans to borrowers otherwise considered creditworthy goes against every sound business instinct a banker has. Accordingly, we support H.R. 2673 and H.R. 4521. These bills would exempt any mortgage held on a bank's balance sheet from the ability to repay requirements and exempt loans held by small creditors with less than $10 billion in assets from the escrow requirements imposed by the Dodd-Frank Act. No bank is going to hold a loan it doesn't believe the borrower has the ability to repay. In conclusion, I ask this committee to look at the unintended consequences of the Dodd-Frank Act and to make changes so that community banks can go back to what they've always been good at, meeting the credit needs of local individuals and small businesses. Unless major changes are made, compliance costs will continue to drive massive consolidation within our industry and limit the ability of our nation's community banks to drive Main Street growth across the country. Thank you very much.
Mr. Carfang, you are now recognized for your testimony.
Good morning, Chairman Henseling, Ranking Member Waters. I'm pleased to be here today.
Again, if you could pull the microphone